Hi, I'm Maria Theresa, and I'm the Archduchess of Austria and the Queen of Hungary and Bohemia. I also became the Holy Roman Empress when I got married. I was born at the Hofburg Palace in Vienna, Austria, on May 13, 1717, to Charles VI, the Holy Roman Emperor, and Elizabeth of Brunswick-Wolfenbüttel. My father was the last male heir to the Habsburg throne, so he reformed the Salic law in case he didn't have a son. The Salic law stated that a female heir couldn't inherit her father's kingdom. Instead of the Salic law, my father issued the Pragmatic Sanction, which ensured my right to succeed his throne. Eventually, the other European states accepted this sanction. Thank goodness they did, or else I wouldn't have an empress. When I was born, my father was disappointed since I wasn't a boy. Love you too, Dad. I had the typical childhood of any princess, learning drawing, painting, music, dancing, etiquette, and other frivolous things. I was educated by Jesuits, but they weren't the best teachers. My speeches and formal manners lacked in comparison to my Habsburg ancestors, and my spelling and punctuation were horrible. If only they had spell check back then. Though I was most likely to succeed the throne, I was never taught much about the affairs of the Habsburg lands. My dad arranged me to be married to Francis Stephen, Duke of Lorraine, France, when I was 18. It was a match made in heaven. We got married on February 12, 1736, the happiest day of my life. Some may call me possessive over him, but what can a girl do but be jealous when she's madly in love with someone? Francis became Grand Duke of Tuscany because the French king didn't want to lose Lorraine. He would later become the Holy Roman Emperor, resulting in me being the Holy Roman Empress. Together, Francis and I had 16 beautiful children, among them being Marie Antoinette and Joseph II. We raised them in a Catholic household since Francis and I were both very devout Catholics. When I was 23 years old, my father died and I succeeded the Habsburg throne. He had left me with a weak empire that had neither money nor a strong army. My father had not educated me about the state of Austria, so when he died, I had to rely on my own wits and judgment to successfully lead the lands. I also made my husband co-regent. The Habsburg Empire was quick to accept me as empress, thank goodness, but I soon faced opposition from the other European nations, especially King Frederick II of Prussia. Ugh. Hate that man. After my father's death, Frederick and his army invaded Silesia and Bavaria, and France invaded my western territories. This was the start of the War of Austrian Succession. These European countries thought they could just storm into Austria and take over my kingdom just because I was a woman, but no, I was about to prove them wrong. I allied myself with Great Britain, and together we fought off the other nations for 8 years. We all got tired of fighting, so we made the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, which basically returned everything to its original owner except for Silesia. Prussia's refusal to give me back Silesia made me so angry because it was my most prosperous province. I became focused on strengthening and reforming my kingdom so Austria could have its revenge on Prussia. I refused to surrender to my enemies, and I knew that by using positive diplomacy I could defeat that Prussian Frederick II. I employed Count Frederick Wilhelm von Haugwitz to help me with these reforms. We focused on modernizing and centralizing the empire. I unified the Austrian and Bohemian chancelleries in May 1749 and took power away from the provincial estates. The Austrian and Bohemian lands were then divided into 10 provinces, and I put royal officials in charge, which made the empire more centralized. Haugwitz reformed the army by expanding it to a standing army of 108,000 men. To help pay for the army and various government costs, Haugwitz and I restructured the tax system by making the nobility and clergy pay income and property taxes, which resulted in economic prosperity for Austria. Though I am a deeply devout and religious Catholic, I tried to move the Church's power under the authority of the state in order to create better centralization. In addition to reform within the government, I advocated many advances in medicine, including the performing of autopsies and giving vaccinations to children. I also wanted to reform education in Austria, which led to a Prussian-based school system that had children from ages 6 to 12 attending school. I allowed non-Catholics to go to universities, and secular subjects started to become the foundation for university education. In 1756, Prussia once again attacked Austria, but this time I was ready. With a strong empire and army, I was determined to gain Silesia back. This war became known as the 7 Years' War. I took the advice of my foreign minister, Count Wenzel Anton von Konitz, and allied with France and Russia instead of Great Britain. After much bloodshed, Frederick II and I finally agreed to a peace treaty in 1763 on the condition that Prussia would sadly get to keep Silesia. 2 years later, the most devastating thing happened to me. My beloved husband died. Ever since the day of his death, I always dressed in mourning, and I also started to withdraw from society. His loss was just too much for me to handle. During this time, I also changed my foreign policy. I gave up on trying to regain Silesia and instead focused on maintaining peace. I didn't want to get involved in any more conflicts that would result unsuccessful. Upon my husband's death, I also appointed my oldest son, Joseph II, as emperor and co-regent, but we often clashed in our beliefs. You know how kids can be trying to rebel from their parents. I didn't like how Enlightenment ideas appeal so much to him. I often think of abdicating my throne, but to be honest, I don't trust Joseph to rule by himself. Well, that's my story. I hope I didn't bore you too badly. I gotta run. I think Joseph is trying to free serfs or some other crazy Enlightenment reform. Bye!